Welcome to This Week in Flag Football. We are back for another segment. Of course, I am here with my good friend, my co-host, Colin Martin.
Wow, that was smooth right there, the way you did that.
I think that was better than our first cut.
Yeah, but Joe was uncomfortable with that. I don't know why.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, we just throw Joe right under. But
White Joe?
White Joe. White Joe in the control room,
Okay.
not to be confused with White Rocco, who'll join us later. But we got a bunch of great games this weekend. Some of them, as you said earlier, was closer than you would think.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the weather's been fantastic. Hopefully, we'll continue to get some great weather before it gets to the later part of the year where that bone-chilling cold comes into play. But right now, knock on wood, we've been getting that spring-like weather, and hopefully it'll hold off, I should say. But before we go any further, I'll toss it back to Frank for a couple of league announcements.
Sure. Hey, a couple more announcements coming up. Listen, we've got the NFL Youth Flag Football program starting this winter, but you want to sign up in December when that comes around. So please, I'll be sending out an email to all the kids, but if you're an adult player in our league with a child between the ages of 5 and 17, boys or girls, please feel free to sign that child up in a great non-contact NFL Youth Flag Football program in the cozy indoor confines at Afram Sportsplex in Colony. Colin, that's all I have for today, so I'm going to turn it back to you for A Division action.
Well, let's start right at the top where we have Sampsons 49ers 14-12 over Valenti's Panthers. What kind of game was that?
That was, I'm waiting for the camera, there it is. That was a big time, undoubtedly huge for Sampsons, Von Burner.
Keep that in mind because we'll be back to that. Laney's 28-6 over PalmerAutos.com. GotBeer.com 28-7 over NEKF Tigers. Blaze 20-0 over the Renegades. And hold them off. Sampsons pulls off a doubleheader win, even though they're two different teams. Sampsons, the title sponsor, they pull off the doubleheader, 14-13 over Jiffy Chips. And what kind of game was that one?
Okay, that game was, I think, even score-wise, the 49er over Panthers was probably an upset. In this game, though, this is one of those games that was truly a big-time, big-time barn burner, basically because of the last-second heroics of both teams.
Can't wait till we get the insider to join us and he can shed some more light on that. Unless you have some right now you want to share? Or
just a quickie on that one. Pause. People don't want us to say so many pauses, too. I've been getting that, so we're going to keep that down to maybe 5.
Okay, we'll keep the pause to a minimum.
Sounds good, Colin. Hey, listen, this game was wrapped up by the Niners. Jiffy goes for the Hail Mary, scores, but then the extra point is blocked. So it does not go into overtime, and the three officials, Vinny, Tony, and Russman, were very happy about that after a long day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
but you know what?
It's a great game.
Like we always say, it always comes down to extra points.
You and I talk about that for, 13, 15 years. I don't know how many times we've been doing this show or how many years I should say, but it's extra points, and that's why it's critical. They actually had a decent kicker, but the Sampsons rush up, not up the middle because that'd be illegal, but the Sampsons pressure toward the kicker was fantastic, and the block was made pretty easily, actually.
See, and that's the thing. People, because you can't rush up the gut, they think that's an easier play.
Right.
You get a nice push on the outside, you can cut across, therefore blocking the kick. And in answer to your question, 1998.
Wow.
I mean, 2 years off when we were on hiatus for union issues. But 13 seasons, 13 years doing the show, 15 altogether. So
unbelievable, and we're still alive.
And we got brand new shirts.
And we do have new shirts today, folks. Just want to show those off for the audience at home.
Get a close-up. Get a close-up. Come on.
They don't know how to do that. They don't know how.
Okay, let's go to the scoreboard then. The standings. We've got the Blaze at 4-0 leading the AA division, followed by Laney's at 2-1, GotBeer.com at 2-2 with Valenti's Panthers, and then PalmerAutos.com at 1-3. Since I have the close-up, let me just show you the detail. Look at that.
Right. See,
look at that script writing.
The script writing for the name.
Colin Martin. And then over here, we've got the logo.
It's interesting. It doesn't say Colin Martin.
No, it doesn't have the smooth flow. I almost said that P word. It doesn't have the smooth flow.
What P word?
The pause.
Oh. But the PU.
No.
I was going to say, wow.
No, not that P word.
So inappropriate for a family show.
Not that P word. We'll talk about that when we get to the co-ed.
May I say one thing about the A's, please?
Certainly.
one of the things that stood out to me as I officiated the Got Beer game against the Tigers, Got Beer decided after 3 games to switch their quarterbacks from the kid that came from Florida, and he's a good athlete, back to Roger. So Roger, his last name is
Harris.
Harris. Thank you. I thought I was going to have to go to the insider, but
No.
you're quick on the draw.
I'm the insider.
Not
on
in
that.
bed, of course,
No.
huh? Pause on that. You don't need a pause on straight stuff.
No,
know that?
I didn't. I don't know the rules.
Oh,
on
that's a
pause
rule.
on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pause is just for the other.
For the others, for the Fogum stuff.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
All right, but anyway, I wanted to get back to this because I wanted to give these guys some credit here. It was a great move. C.J. DeCrescenti was not there that day, but I'm sure this was all planned ahead of time because Roger was warming up before the game. He came in, and I was the lead official, so I was near the huddle all the time, and he was calling a fantastic game. His game plan was flawless, and that was a huge reason that they were able to move the ball up and down the field. Now, the other thing was not only his execution, but the other gentleman, and I don't know his name, the kid from Florida, went to receiver, and he is a very good athlete. So he added some great athleticism to that offensive receiver core.
Well, it's like we spoke about last week. If you have athletes playing quarterback as opposed to a quarterback who happens to be athletic, you don't want to have that situation because you're taking a weapon away from you. Now you put Roger in there. Roger's a pretty good quarterback. He's pretty athletic, but he's a quarterback who's an athlete rather than an athlete playing quarterback. So now you take the athlete out, put him in a position where he can catch the ball and do some things with it when he has it in his hand, as opposed to forcing him to give it up to somebody else, and you see the result.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. I thought it was a good move. I wanted to bring it up on the TV show. And, you know, on the flip side, to be fair, the Tigers were missing some critically key players. They fought hard, but on the other side of the ball, I liked what Got Beer was doing, and now they're kind of back into that mix where I'm not sure if our insider Rocco said this or one of us said this, but Got Beer was one of kind of the 3 teams we were thinking could make the championship. Well, with this setup now, it is possible.
It shall remain to be seen. A lot of season left, but I'm still not going to come off of that pick yet. I don't know, but they're on the radar, so to speak.
Yes. Good point on that. I like that.
Hopefully, everybody else will too.
Well, especially them.
Yeah, we're giving them some love.
Yeah.
So in the A division, we'll start at the top. We've got Sampsons 49ers at 3-1, followed by the Renegades and Sampsons Fighting Irish at 2-2, NEKF Tigers at 1-3, and Jiffy Chips round out the A division with an 0-3 mark. Still surprised at that Jiffy Chips game. They played a tough game this weekend, hard fought, and they ultimately came out on the short end of the stick. But to see them, see them still winless at this point in the season, that's a shocker to me. They've got experienced players on that team, so they played in the A division before, and they understand the rules and how to set up plays and run plays. Any insight as to what the struggles are? I mean, according to previous weeks, they were missing some people sometimes, and then there wasn't a commitment there. The quarterback, he showed up or didn't show up, whatever that case was. Do you think that, not to bring up a touchy subject with you, do you think they're somewhat similar to the Giants where they're 0-3 and now people are, Justin Tuck came out talking about he'll punch somebody in the mouth if they try to turn on their coach? I mean, that's not a way you unify a locker room, threatening to beat them up.
Yeah.
But is there anything to that Billy situation where he wasn't showing up or showed up late? I forget the specifics behind it, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that happened maybe week 1. I don't know since then, but I can tell you this. Billy Chanot was quarterbacking. They fought very hard. They played a good game, probably one of their best games of the entire year, and had a chance to at least tie it and send it into overtime. However, I did watch most of this game, and I can tell you this. Billy Chanot has had a lot more talent in previous seasons. I saw these guys out there. I did not recognize a lot of them. I was asking Rocco on the sideline, you know, what's going on with this team? Because I don't recognize a lot of these guys, and it is not as talented as the teams he's had in the past. And I think this struggle is going to continue.
Okay, well, that's some good inside information. Maybe it's not the fact that they had all of these talented guys before who played in the A division. So maybe they lost some key players, and they're filling in some gaps with some new guys. So that's some good information. I'll give it back to Frank, who'll take us into our B division action.
All right, B division scoreboard, folks. We've got the Vikings 12-7 over the Rampage. That was a very, very hard-fought tough game, and I expected it to be that way. Either way, we didn't know who was going to win, but the low-scoring game does not surprise me. The Warriors beating Philly Bar and Grill is a big win for the Warriors, a team that we did force up from the C to the B. And they're doing very well. When we get to the standings, you'll see why. The Bootlegger Predators, 27-6 over Bootlegger Bulldogs. Now, the Predators, they're a scary, kind of sneaky team, okay? You've got, I believe that's the Jeff Smith team, and those guys are, you know, they play really hard, but you know how it is with them, Colin. It's one of those teams that's always either on the bubble for the playoffs or the eighth seed.
Well, the good thing about this game, Bootleggers couldn't afford to lose. They couldn't lose this game playing against each other. Like we mentioned with the Sampsons title sponsor, Bootleggers versus Bootleggers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and the Bulldogs are having a tough time. I did officiate one of their games, and that game was actually very competitive against the Vikings, but it looks like in this case they kind of fell apart here again, and that's not going to be good for the season moving forward. On the circle, 8-6 over Kaiser Body Shop. That's something that I'm hoping the Insider could get some play for us on, because, you know, On the Circle is one of our favorites to win the entire B division. Kaiser, I don't even think had a victory, or maybe they had one. We'll take a look at that. No victories.
Winless.
Okay, they were winless, and you see a low-scoring 8-6 game. So I was kind of surprised about that. So hopefully we'll get some inside scoop.
My initial off-the-rip idea, they looked at the seedings and figured that it's an easy win. They just needed to show up. And as we've seen happen, it almost happened here. If you take your opponent lightly or just assume a victory, you're going to be in for a battle. So that's just me. Like you said, when the Insider comes on, maybe he'll have more specific information. But at first glance, that's what I think happened.
No, that's a real shocking score to me, and I'd love to find out why. And I'd also like to find out if that's a safety or if they just went for the 2, because that's really risky there, you know, with the 6-6 game. It could have been. Anyway, 41 Sports Bar Titans, they get a huge victory over the Aztecs. The Aztecs are one of those tough teams that's having a lot of hard luck right now, and they needed a win desperately. But 41 is one of those teams that I think wants to make the big push toward the Super Bowl at least this year. So the game was critical for them to win.
I concur.
Okay, Forever Bandana 33-13 over the Rugged Rams. Not a big surprise there. Maybe a little bit on the scoreboard. 20 exact points on that.
Inside information on that. One of my sources happened to be at that game. Don't let the score fool you. That game was a lot closer than the score indicates. Forever Bandana just happened to pull away late due to the talent that they have on that team. A little bit of chirpiness back and forth. Apparently Flip wasn't quarterbacking because he was injured, had some kind of injury. But then when things got too close and the other team started talking and feeling their oats, so to speak, he decided to put himself in, scored a couple of touchdowns to extend the lead, 20-point victory.
Interesting. Okay, I like the inside scoop there. I thought the game would be closer, and now we know why. Okay, standings, folks. And speaking of Forever Bandana, they are on the top of the leaderboard with On the Circle, both 4-0. But then you have the Vikings, 41 Sports, and the Warriors, as I mentioned. How about that team? Forced up to the V division. They were forced up, they were brought back down, then forced up again, like a ping pong for the first or the last few days prior to the season starting. They actually hung in there with us. They did what was best for the league, and now it is paying off at 3-1 for a good start.
Yes, shows that the room's not too big for them.
Absolutely. Ooh, I like that comment there. All right, that's got to be a quote.
That's a Colin quote. Feel free to use that.
All right, thank you.
Can I give you one other piece of inside
Sure.
information? Back to the top of the standings with Forever Bandana. Same source. This is the most talented team in the B division, but they will not win the B title. The quote continues on. They're worse than your old Pepsi teams.
Who said that?
I can't give out my source, but the source did tell me, you remember how we were on Pepsi back in the day. We were always bickering and fussing. These guys are worse than we were.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to be their own worst enemy in terms of not getting to the show, not winning the show. They'll do something self-destructive, which will prevent them. But they have the most talented team in the B division, according to the source. They should win the Super Bowl, but they won't even make the Super Bowl because they cannot stop themselves sometimes.
Okay, this is Forever Bandana.
This is Forever Bandana.
Okay. All right, well, I just want to go on record, though. The Pepsi team was more of a controlled chaos, and that kind of worked for us.
Well, eventually we got there. We got there, but this is their first year playing together. It took our Pepsi team a couple of while to get everything straight and just to learn to shut up and play. So to you guys out there who think I'm picking on you when I tell you just be quiet and play the game, I know from experience. I've been there, done that, trying to keep you from doing the same silly stuff we did. Shut up, play the game. Bad calls are going to happen. You just have to fight through and deal with them. But you can't go screaming bloody murder and bugging out, etc., etc. Learn from it, take the lesson, move on.
Could be a good call that you think is bad. All right, so let's move on to the 2-2 teams, Rampage, Rugged Rams, and the Bootlegger Predators, all 2-2. Remember, the top 8 make it. So if the season ended today, that would be your top 8 right there, finishing off with the Predators, as we said, is always a team on the bubble. The Aztecs are 1-3, but you know what? They're only a game back of the playoffs, even though they did lose to one of the teams that is ahead of them, so that's not going to hold well for them during the playoff push or when tiebreakers come into play. And then finally, we have Kaiser, the Bulldogs, and Philly Grill. They're all 0-4, and they're all struggling at this point. I don't see any of those 3 teams making a push, so maybe the Aztecs, if they have some games left against those teams, can use that to move up the rankings, but they're also going to have some signature wins with 5 remaining to get into the playoffs.
And you have that Aztec team. They're a bunch of savvy veterans. Speaking of our Pepsi days, they're a bunch of savvy guys on that team who used to play against us when we were still active players. So they know a little bit of the tricks of the trade to get over and get some of these wins. And like you said, if they're playing the teams that are also winless, that gives them that experience will give them an edge. But you're 100% right. They're going to have to come across and beat one of these top teams to get a signature win if they want to A, make the playoffs, and B, go in there with momentum riding on their side.
No, I agree 100%. And it's getting exciting as we go into the last 5 weeks. Like you said, weather is going to be hopefully continuing in our good graces, but if it doesn't, that becomes even more of a factor. Colin, we have a huge C division. Please let the audience know what's happening.
I'd be delighted. Jay's Painting Service, 40-0 over Mario's Restaurant. Fuller's Tavern, 33-28 over NWO. And what could only be classified as a shootout, not a barn burner, but a shootout.
Oh.
Swag Champs, 12-10 over Bootleggers Hurricanes. That one may be a...
I think you caught me and the camera guy off guard on that one. Just trying to wash down my diet right here. It's disgusting. I shouldn't say that on the air. They might become a sponsor.
Yeah. No, well, we're public access. We can't have sponsors.
Oh, that's true, so I can say that.
Yeah, you can say it.
Anyway, that is a big time barn burner.
Don't go away because we got another one. Elbow Room Hawks, 35-32 over Team Gold.
Whoa, is that a big time barn burner? And I'll tell you why, because Decky Lawson takes over the team from Scott Madden, who's having some financial troubles. So he's doing again. So he gets his signature victory and keeps them in the playoff hunt as they're now 2-2.
But you know what that speaks to? That speaks to organization. Because as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was put on Decky at the last minute because of whatever was going on with Scott. You or Rocco, one of the two, approached him about taking over the team, and he did. I saw that he had put a post on the board looking for some players, so that tells me he wasn't prepared for it, but he got everybody together in time and put a plan in place, a game plan, and they came out with the victory. So well done for Decky.
And I want to throw one more piece of news on top of that. He actually lost 3 players, I believe. We'll have to get it from the insider. I believe it was 3 players. Decky gave them their release during the week because he was not going to go through with this, it seemed. They jump on Fuller's. Fuller's gets the signature victory. Decky still wins without some key guys.
That just, again, speaks to the organization that he brings to the team as opposed to the chaos that the previous owner did. Armadillos, 24-12 over Bloodline. Side Door Grill Bombers, 13-7 over the Avengers. Batman's a better superhero anyway, Avengers. Dublin's Bootleggers, 21-6 over Murphy's Mama's Boys. Katie O'Byrne's SOS, 43-20 over CM Fox Realty Falcons. 30 Birds, 33-26 over the franchise in a shootout. Dream Team, 26-21 over the Kryptonites. I'm setting them up for what kind of game?
That's a big time. Big time barn burner.
And finally, the Bronx Street Thrashers, 34-12 all over the Ravens. Just like the Ravens got beat on Buffalo yesterday.
I don't know how many different ways I can say barn burner. We may want to cut down on that.
No. I got a way for you. I'll have it for you next week.
All right.
I'll give you a new way. Because
blazing hot in here. I'm
it is.
sweating profusely.
I thought it was just me. That's why I was trying to talk fast
you don't have
and run through this.
You don't have malaria. It's the studio.
All righty, so let's go through the C standings, and we'll start in Albany. Jay's Painting Service 4-0 with Dublin's Bootleggers, also 4-0. Jay's Painting Service with 102 differential. That is ridiculous. 134 to 32. They're just smashing people. Fuller's Tavern bounces back with Swag Champs and NWO, all 3-1. Elbow Room Hawks, 2-2 with Side Door Grill Bombers and Armadillos, along with Bootleggers Hurricanes. Bloodline, Team Gold, the Avengers, all 1-3. Mario's Restaurant and Murphy's Mama's Boys all are 0-4, rounding out Albany. Over in Schenectady, we've got KDO Burns SOS at 4-0, followed by the Bronx Street Thrashers, CM Fox Realty Falcons, Dream Team, all 3-1. And then we've got the Dirty Birds Franchise and Kryptonite, all 1-3, followed by the Ravens at 0-4, rounding out the C division. 0-4 for the Ravens, minus 39 differential. They're in every game except this past weekend, so they're playing a lot of close games. They're just not able to make it happen and get over the hump, so to speak, to pull out the W.
Well, it's interesting in the standings right now because now there's separation in that division that we thought was going to be from top to bottom a lot closer. The top 4 teams now have a 2-game lead at least on the bottom 4 teams, and with only 4 games in, that's a lot. So, I mean, there's 5 left, I know that, but right now you're kind of having the separation of which 4 are going to be making the playoffs. So I don't know if those bottom 4 are going to have a shot because you look at the team names, you look at some differentials, which are not bad, but it's really going to come down to schedule. And were the schedule makers nice to them toward the latter part of the season or not?
And over in Albany, you have the exact opposite. You've got the 12th ranked team, 2 games out of third place. You got a 4-0 team, so you're probably not going to catch them having to make up 3 games, but they may be able to improve their seeding if they pull off some signature victories, as you alluded to earlier.
Oh, you like that,
I
right?
did. That was nice. That was smooth.
Well, the other key thing is the top 7 from Albany will make it, the top 4 from Schenectady, and then there's going to be a wild card team. So right now, yes, if you're in Schenectady, you want to hope to get that wild card, but I'm going to assume that's coming out of Albany because of the number of teams in there. Somebody's going to have a good record that doesn't get in the top 7.
Oh, I agree.
Just
100%.
an opinion.
I agree 100%. The sheer numbers alone are going to dictate that somebody's going to be not too happy with a successful season and miss out on the playoffs.
Right.
That always seems to happen. So I'll give it to Frank one more time. He'll take us into our co-ed action.
All right, folks, co-ed action. And we have some great games to report on. As always, I will be giving you the score, and Colin will be giving you the MVP, except for one, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I know. I know which one.
All right. So, Woolrath recruiting Bunnies, 33, Kohlers, 12.
MVP of that game, Tasia Myers. Word on the street was she was beasting.
I like that. Okay. Well, the girl is probably one of the top players in the league, if not the best, I think. Is she up there with Talisha Hargis?
Not yet.
Okay.
But she's not too far behind. But I will go out on a limb and say if she continues to play at her current pace, future Hall of Famer.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Little name dropping. Okay, for the Hall of Fame, I should say. Now, the next game, and I just want to say on that previous game, Kohlers, I don't know what's going on with them. They do have some talent, and they seem to be showing up more consistently. But the Bunnies, I think, after the first 2 that people were saying, well, those were 2 weaker teams, Kohlers has not a victory, but I think they're still a good enough team where the Bunnies showed that they might be a top team this year. Is that possible?
And the Bunnies were without their quarterback as well and his top target. So they weren't at full strength for this game either.
All right, that's not good for the Kohlers team. All right, they may be in for a long, long season. McGarry's Honey Badgers, what a fantastic day they had. I'll be reporting twice on them as they had a doubleheader. 40-33 over Brad Lewis Lawn Care.
MVP of that game, Craig Hallis. Not George Hallis, but Craig.
Well, George is very famous for the older crowd out there. All right, and then we had Green Machine, 45, Silver Bullets, 28. Tony Martin took a verbal beating, he told me.
Oh, boy. I'm glad I was on the other field. MVP of that game was Jimmy Morrell, I'm sorry.
Morrell. Yep, Jimmy had a great game, which is, I'll tell you, what a shocking turnaround as the Green Machine got wiped out by Dell Lanes the previous week, but they did not have Jimmy in that particular game.
And this week, Green Machine did not have Justin Ward, and they were missing, shout it out, Rock. Aaron, the other top receiver that they have.
Oh, Aaron, yep, I remember that young man. That's tough then, losing those two people, but I'll tell you what, Talisha is like a top target, male or female, so you can say, hey, this, we have her. That might be their best receiver anyway.
And that's
I know you said
reason,
male, but...
And that's the reason why Tasia won't get to Talisha's level, because Talisha is like Mariano Rivera.
Right.
Unquestionably the greatest relief pitcher ever. Talisha is, without a doubt, the greatest female player we've ever had in this league.
True.
So Tasia can shoot for it. I don't think it's attainable, because Talisha is just, without a doubt, you ask anybody, they'll tell you she was the greatest female we've ever had.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't see Tasia shooting anything. She's female. So anyway,
Never had a squirter, I say.
Once.
Did that go on air?
No, that's not on air. We were in a commercial break. All right, and then we had the Riff Raff. They're playing the new team, Good Touch, Bad Touch, and they win 35-0.
MVP of that game, Amanda Brundage.
Okay, she's turned out to be a beast in herself. McGeary's Honey Badgers 35, Dark Side 34.
MVP of this game, the complete and entire McGeary's team. Let me tell you why, folks. They were down 27-6, and then they were down 34-14.
Wow.
They did not quit. They tied it up. They were down 34-20. Darkside decides to go for it on 4th and 20 from their own 20.
Oof.
They hold them. Incomplete pass, they score on the next play. Now it's a one-touchdown game. They throw an interception. They run the clock down. 2 seconds left on the clock. They score a touchdown. I ask them, win or tie? We're going for 2 in the win.
Wow.
He rolls to his left. As he gets to the pylon, the guys from Darkside converge. He steps to the left, inside for the end zone. Inside the end zone, extra point is good.
Wow.
They went bananas. He was out of bounds. That's a bad call. You made the call wrong. You cost us the win. And you know me, it ain't going to be but so many times you're going to blame me. So I go, you were up 34-14. Stop them before, and it doesn't get to that. Punt the ball on 4th and 20, doesn't get to that. And then the coup de grace, which shut everybody up, I'm the trail ref, so they don't know the mechanics. Carl's on the other side, standing on the line, looking straight down. I'm the trail ref, making sure he's inbounds here.
Yeah.
Carl and I both had the exact same thing. Extra point's good. That shut it all down.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, folks. You can't blame it on an official when you have those situations that he just described. So, but more remarkably, aside from the crying, was the fact that McGeary's has a doubleheader sweep. And that was incredible for them, because people were thinking, they were, they slipped into the playoffs, but they had a weak schedule. Now they don't have as weak of a schedule, and they get 2 victories in one day. Remarkable. Congratulations to them. And it's very unusual for you to give an MVP to the entire team, and you did so. So it must be well-deserved.
Very.
Okay, folks, Dell Lanes, again, another victory, 19-7 over the Dirty Birds, holding them to just 1 touchdown.
MVP of that game, Hall of Famer Heather Fiore. And our last game of the day, Sampsons Misfits 34-7 over Andy's Maniacs. Frank, who was the MVP of that game?
Oh, what a cute young lady. I'm going to give her a nickname, too.
Go ahead.
Stephanie Race to the End Zone Race.
How about Stephanie Itis?
Oh, yes. I just learned that myself, Stephanie, what itis means. Thank goodness it's clean fun.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so that's her new nickname. Congratulations to her and her entire team. They are now also one of the undefeateds. We will pull up the standings now, and everybody will take a look. Oh, there they are.
Right underneath.
Okay. So anyway, sorry, folks. It was a technical difficulty. Too many papers. All right, Sampsons Misfits, Walrath Recruiting, Riff Raff, Dell Lanes. 4 teams, all 3-0. Then we've got the Green Machine, McGeary's Honey Badgers, as you see. They're both 2-1, only a game back. Then I'm going to give it to Colin, but he's going to be telling you about some powerhouse teams that are in the second half.
That's right. Lark Tavern Renegades 1-1. That's not the surprise.
No.
Here's the surprise. The number 1 and 2 team heading into the season, Silver Bullets and Darkside, both 1-1 or 1-2, excuse me, and a former champion, the Dirty Birds, also 1-2. So the powers have fallen, so to speak. It's a new game. That's what happens when you get teams that play. We mentioned that the McGeary's team, they've been around for a while. That consistency, the plays is starting to work itself out. And the other teams, maybe they're getting a little bit older. Maybe they're taking it for granted. Automatic W. McGeary's isn't that automatic W anymore.
You're absolutely right.
Good touch, bad touch, 0-2. Guess they've been getting bad touched a lot.
Wow.
Brad Lewis Lawn Care, another team that we thought was going to be something special a couple of years ago. They came in, had a couple of key defections. That may be hurting them right now. They're 0-3, and they were screaming bloody murder on the other field. Again, glad I wasn't there. Andy's Maniacs and Kohlers round out the co-ed division, both 0-3. And Kohlers, another team, been in the Super Bowl, constant up in the contention for the division, high seeds in the playoffs. Another team that's fallen on hard times. This co-ed division is full of parity, and it is flipped upside down.
Hey, that's the truth, Colin. And I'll tell you what, the Kohlers team, they have a -62. They're losing 20 points a game.
That's shocking.
I mean, that's shocking. And I think they're going to get some victories and roll on. I mean, remember in week 2, they actually were beating Darkside pretty badly, and then Darkside came back and won that game. So, I mean, they have the talent. I don't know what's missing, but...
I only laugh because Darkside had done to them what they had done to Kohlers.
Right, right. No, it's incredible because you usually in co-ed, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't see big comebacks.
No,
you know, you don't have a lot of time usually, because the scores do not stop the clock. So it's a running clock all the way down to 2. And if you're behind by a few touchdowns or more in the second half, you're really in deep doo-doo.
And keep in mind I got to go back to this McGeary's team because I'm so proud of them. This is the same team who last year, they were getting hammered, literally and figuratively. They were getting hammered in the game, and they were getting hammered bending the elbow. They said, all right, this game's over. We're going to end the game. We're not going to come back. We're just going to go to the bar and drink.
Right.
But to see them come from that to this game's not over, they're down 20, they come back and win the game, that just speaks a lot to what Rich is building with that team. So keep up the good work.
All right, I'm going to end on this, just a little signal. All right, that's the signal. And a key word here, yikes. And she'll know what that means. We'll be back in 2 and 2 with the next segment. Our insider is in the house.
It's in the building.
We're back, folks. Yes, we have a new set for the round table. It's actually round. We have our football. We have our 3 analysts here. We're joined by Rocco Tobin Laguerre, who is our insider. He also has a new shirt, and that is a 6X.
It is not a 6X.
Right, 5.5X. Yes?
No.
See, I concur.
For your Spanish-speaking folks out there, Colin will be translating anything he's learned from his wife thus far. It's not going to be everything. It's going to be broken Spanish, right?
Correct.
Okay. Anyway, folks, he's got that down. He's got that down. But we had a couple things we asked the insider for, so Rocco, if you would, please.
So the one game you talked about was the Sampsons Fighting Irish versus Jiffy Mart, a little bit asking about Jiffy Mart. So I actually spoke to Billy Chanel at a bar this week, but at least he was at the bar during the week.
That's true.
And not the night before the game. So, good job, Billy, on improving in that regard. But I talked to Billy, and he said really his team is shooting to be a powerhouse in the in the spring. They just put a team in to kind of get new guys learning positions. He has a whole bunch of new guys. He wants to see who's good enough to stay on the team next season when he gets a lot of his old recruits back.
And that's what we had talked about in the first segment.
Exactly, yeah. So the insider information was correct. The other game you guys asked about was On the Circle, the Terry's team, versus Kaiser Body Shop. Given that we've talked about On the Circle and Forever Bandanas, one of the powerhouses in the Bees, and Kaiser was winless. The game was 8-6. So you asked, did they get a safety? Did they go for 2? On the Circle actually went for 2, but they went for 2 before Kaiser had scored.
Gotcha.
And then Kaiser ended up scoring, and from what I understand, Kaiser ended up scoring because Justin Terry was out of breath and pulled himself from nose tackle, so they were able to pound it in.
Pause.
Okay.
And the third game you guys asked about was the Code Red Hawks and kind of the 3 different players and what was going on there. So 3 players contacted the committee during the week asking to play with other teams. Now, only one of them actually played for another team. Ja'Kai Turman played for Fuller's. The other 2 did not play with their new teams because they didn't know what was going to go on with the Hawks and wanted to make sure not to have any issues with the legal roster. But Decky did pull it out and brought a team, so good for him.
I have a question.
Yes, of course.
Does Jeff Turman still play on Decky's team?
No, Jeff is on Fuller's. He was on Fuller's before the split.
Okay,
Yes.
so Jeff's son was playing with Madden beforehand.
Correct.
Right.
Oh, that.
And I will say
interesting
this to
dynamic.
credit, he torched the NWO secondary.
Wow. Yeah, Ja'Kai is a phenomenal athlete. Jeff was a phenomenal athlete in his day. So, I mean, that's a big, big boost for their team, and that seemed to be the reason that they beat NWO.
He was a huge difference maker, I agree.
All right. I
Take
wanted
that
to
with
go,
you. Release me, will you?
Right. Hey, listen, I want to go back to a couple things here, though. The On the Circle is an interesting story, but the Billy Chanot thing, I think that's really good because normally he gets all these guys and they're kind of a one and done. They try to go for the championship in a season and then they pack it in and you don't see him for 2 or 3 seasons. So the fact that he is actually trying to build a team to come back in the spring and be stronger than ever, I think that's great. I'm hoping that between the fall and spring season he will get his rehab that he needs. Because he's a heavy boozer. All right, so
That's the rumor.
that's
the way I hear it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
if
miss
it's
that
so
segment.
Like
much
they
of
used
a-
to say in grade school, it takes one to know one.
Oh, see, Colin?
That's
That's what you're referring to,
That's
right?
the way I hear it.
Of course.
Right.
I've been known to bend my
Of
elbow.
course,
at
that's what
times.
I'm referring to. Right.
And for the record, I have no clue what that means. So that's an inside joke between them two. Pause.
Oh, wow. No, there's women involved, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Listen, folks, it's time to get
Fog 'em
to...
and log 'em?
Oh,
I don't know who Logum is. I know Fogum now. A Division, we have a game to choose from, and this is a good one here. I don't know how the insider Rocco, with this being his team, is going to be able to dissect the game, but if he's honest with himself, I think we might get our best insider information from him during this game. It's the Sampsons 49ers. They're 3-1. Got Beer 2-2. I told you guys early in the show about their change that's been improved. Now, Rocco, as always, we like you to give the inside scoop and then not make your pick. Please.
understood.
Please.
So the Sampsons 49ers are a team that is 3-1, possibly 2-1, depending on what goes on with Palmerados. And they've won their 2 games by having guys play both ways. Attendance on the line play has been an issue. Not so much because guys aren't showing up, but because of injury. So line play is going to become a huge factor as to whether they can overcome Got Beer. Got Beer already had the other Sampsons team's number first week of the season and proved that, as you said, Brandon was the quarterback week 1, the quarterback from Florida. He proved to be a good athlete. But now with Roger back at quarterback, you mentioned that, okay, it puts Brandon, who's an athlete, at receiver. Another factor, Roger has been quarterback of this core squad for years, so that means timing routes are easier to throw. Right. That means they have their set playbook. Not that the other quarterback didn't do a good job, but sometimes that organization and familiarity helps an offense run smoother. So I think Got Beer, as you stated, has positioned themselves to try to enter that conversation as an A title contender.
And let me add one thing before Colin makes his pick. I'm impressed with the way Brandon, the former quarterback, took his demotion, if you want to call it that. He was a total team player and was big on both sides of the ball. So he took it well, and he's really acclimated himself to this team very quickly. You could see there's a definite dynamic between all the players and he. So it's not some kid from Florida that's still trying to work his way in. He's in.
Well, his mother raised him well.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Starting in on the mamas. Didn't we learn from that C game? Anyway, you had mentioned Sampsons is 3-1, but possibly 2-1. Is there some?
Correct. There was a miscommunication, misunderstanding, whatever, with Palmer Autos. They couldn't show up 1 week. So according to league policy, we got the forfeit win. However, we're discussing options to see if we can play that game out, depending on what exactly happens.
Okay, gotcha. So it was a league miscommunication, not they didn't just show up or they told.
We're not
you guys the wrong
100%
time?
sure. We're trying to investigate it. So
Gotcha.
while Sampsons is 3-1, they're actually 2-1 on the field.
Got it. Now, on to this game.
Yes.
You both had stolen my thunder. It was like you were inside my head and taking my thoughts.
Oh, wow.
You and I, we've been doing this for 13 years.
we're both
We've
on the
been
same
doing this
drug.
for 5 weeks, so you catch
also-
up pretty quickly.
You take Paxil also?
I don't. I'm supposed to, but I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't take it all.
Because I thought that was, why we had that.
No, I don't hear all the things that
You're
you
supposed to, though?
Yeah, well. Don't
I didn't know that.
Don't tell my doctor. Yeah, 'cause
Oh, my
sometimes
God.
I just go into random fits and I just want to smack
Oh, is there a Spanish version? Uno, dos.
people. No. That's not the reason why I need Paxil. I just go in random fits where I just want to smack people. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's
Chris
never a
Brown
good
guy.
thing.
No, I got you, Chris. All right. How's Liana doing?
She's all right.
Oh, yeah.
She all right. Yeah, she learned her lesson. She ain't talking.
Wow. That's on the air.
So what?
All emails from the feminist group, please go to Colin-CM Martin.
There you go. Rodgers, the new quarterback, which is the old quarterback.
Yeah.
The consistency, the timing, the cohesion, that's all there. Sampsons, they're still getting adjusted. 3-1, 2-1, whatever the case may be. I think the cohesion, though Sampsons does have a pretty cohesive unit as well because they've come up through the ranks, so to speak. I just think they're still trying to get accustomed to the A division, and I think Got Beer having been there for a while, that gives them the edge. And again, going back to that point with Roger and what you said about the quarterback Brandon, just accepting his new role, that's huge. You can't put a price tag on that. You can't underestimate the importance of that either, because not everybody's going to take that demotion, and that's what it was. However you want to put a spin on it, it was a demotion. You're going to a quarterback. True. But to do it and accept it and realize that it's for the betterment of the team, Josh Freeman could learn that lesson. Wow. I think that's huge. That's a huge plus for Got Beer, and I think that's going to allow them to get the win.
Interesting, okay. And before I move on to Rocco, I think it's also should be noted that Brandon was probably given a very well-paying job at DeCrescenti to take that to mind.
This ain't the NCAA. That's not against the rules.
Right. So he was demoted from quarterback, but he's no longer the forklift operator. He has moved up to case count.
Gotcha. Vice President of cases.
Rocco?
So I am a little bit biased, obviously, as one of my teams is in this game.
Come on, Pasca.
I'm going to say
You're a little bit biased.
Bias.
Oh, bias.
Pause. And let me move over to this side.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that on paper, I think Got Beer is the favorite in this game. If Vegas was betting it, they would be the favorite. However, there's one factor that I believe is going to cause Sampsons 49ers to win, and that's Ben Cook. Got Beer has a very strong D-line. However, I do not think either D-end is fast enough to catch Ben if he rolls effectively. Now, if people don't show up for the 49ers, they're going to get, as Colin would say, dump trucked. But if people show up, I think we can pull off the upset and show that we might be able to be that team in the lower division who ends up playing in the playoffs in the top division.
But let me ask a question. Don't you think being in the A division for as long as they have and being as smart as they are, I knew when I played, if we had a fast little quarterback, elusive like that, and especially when he's yay high, you want to keep him in the pocket. You don't want to let him roll out. So you're going to contain the pocket as opposed to letting him create his own pocket and giving him a clean lane.
Agreed. I'm sure they're going to send four. I'm sure they're going to keep the two ends, outside. But the good thing about Ben is that he seems to, unlike his old Misfit days, he seems to know when to stop and throw. So, but I think the threat of the run will either, one, take a D-back away because they're trying to spy him, or two, they won't be able to stop it.
There's no need for name calling. You can be a D-back.
Wow.
That was unnecessary.
Okay, so listen, it's my turn here, and I'd like to get my airtime. I think that Ben Cook is the X factor, but I've seen him, and he is so inconsistent. And the fact that the 49ers may or may not have a good offensive line in front of him, I know he can scramble and everything, but I think Gottbeer has too many horses at this point. I think they're way too big and fast not to be able to contain Ben Cook and really shut down their only option, which is Ben Cook, in my opinion, for now. This team is growing and doing well, but for now, they are well coached too, so I think they will make adjustments. But for now, I like Gottbeer just because they have the horses, and I think they're going to be able to contain Ben Cook at least enough to get the victory.
Muy buena selección.
And I believe C.J. Tarver would agree with you because during last week's game, C.J. said no team can win in the A division with a white receiver as a number one option.
Wow.
That's a quote from C.J. Tarver.
Well, he is a racist. All right, so we've verified that. In the B division, the Warriors are 3-1 and the Rampage are 2-2. Interesting game here. I'm going to let Rocco give the inside scoop on this.
So as you guys alluded to in the first segment, the Warriors were the C team we forced up. We played with them up, down before the season started.
It's like a night at your house.
I continued to try to sell them on the idea that they could compete because they're strong line play. I think they partially thought I was blowing smoke, but I truly believe that after playing in the Super Bowl. Line play is huge in the B division with the full rush. They can handle it. So I think they've adapted well. I also believe they've picked up a new quarterback. I'm not 100% sure. I know there was some scouting going on to try to bring in a more conventional quarterback as opposed to JoJo, who runs, and possibly play JoJo at other positions because he is such a good athlete. Now, the Rampage, Bobby Blanchard has built a strong team. They have great receiver in Jack. They have a much better line than they did last year. The quarterback, to me, is the X factor. Mm-hmm. I have seen him absolutely torch a defense with precision passes. I have seen him disappear when his number one and number two options aren't there. So to me, his play, his ability to adapt to the full rush, and last season was his first season, is going to be the key, given that the Warriors' strength is their line play.
You seem very confident in that quarterback. You seem to like him quite well. Has he ever been in your bedroom?
No, he is not.
Was he ones that you were referring to when you kept saying you were yanking him up and down and up and down?
That was the other team. So
okay.
Thanks for that.
Okay. Hey, no problem. We're equal. We love you, Rock. We're just, we're trying to help you get a relationship that's strong.
Okay. Comment.
I have nothing to say to that.
Just short and to the point. I don't trust the Warriors. I didn't trust them when they were in the C
They owe
division.
you money?
No. Here's why I don't trust them.
All right.
They have a quarterback who doesn't want to throw.
Right.
All he looks to do is run. I can't trust the team. I can't trust the quarterback who either can't or doesn't want to throw. That's Tim Tebow.
Is he the quarterback, though?
But that's the other question. You replace him with somebody who's inconsistent. So you're 6 on one, half dozen on the other. Your quarterback play is going to be a crapshoot. So just quick and to the point. I'm taking the Rampage just for that.
Great point, I think. Go ahead, Slim.
So I know how angry Bobby gets after every loss, so I'm sure he's fired up. And I'm going to pick the Rampage, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Rampage win this game, but the Warriors finish ahead of them in the standings in the final.
Nice, I like that. That's a good point, and
It's a bold prediction right there.
I don't know. With 3-1 and 2-2, so they'd both be 3-2 and then be a race for the last 4 games, and it really depends on the schedule. But I want to go back to what I'm thinking, and what I'm thinking is that these two teams might be the most evenly matched teams in the entire B division, and that's why I think this game is a coin toss. These are the two teams that were most recently bumped up. Rampage and then Warriors. Am I correct with that?
Titans and Warriors.
Titans and Warriors.
Rampage chose to come up, but you're right. This is
talking about the Rampage
season.
was the second season. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Rampage is in their second season. So I think it's really going to be a coin toss, but Colin brought up the best point that I think anybody could make tonight regarding this game, the inconsistency at quarterback, because if JoJo starts, he's consistently good at running. If the other guy starts, he's not connected right now with those receivers like we talked about with Roger Harris in the A division. So I think that was the key point, and that's why I go with the Rampage as well. All right, folks, it's Albany C Division time, and we've got the Scrappers, 4-0. Carnage coming from Troy, 4-0. Two 4-0 teams is always usually a big-time barn burner, but I'll tell you what, after we discuss this game, folks at home might be surprised. Rocco.
So for those who don't know who the Scrappers are, they're a team that was started by some people from the Vipers of years past, Matt Gardner being one of them. He decided to forego his arena career and come back to flag football, so thank you for that, Matt. We appreciate it. He has put together a team of a few fellow CDFFL players, but a lot of players from his hometown of Hudson. Now, I have looked at their Facebook group, and as of 2 or 3 months before the season started, they were already practicing. And as they quote, I believe it's almost a perfect quote, no team is doing what we're doing. So they are very confident that the work they have put in is going to carry them to a C Division title. And with a 4-0 record, who's to argue so far?
I like that.
Carnage, that's Jesse Ward, Condi's 49ers, kind of a combination of those two teams. Steve Ellis is a early C Division MVP candidate, running all over teams. He has, I would guess, somewhere between 6 and 10 touchdowns in the first 4 games. Monk is like a little water bug running across everywhere.
Idiot.
That's a joke, Monk. It's a joke. He doesn't mean that.
It's just a joke. I like you, actually, and your stepsister, or whoever.
Who will be playing in our co-ed indoor youth flag.
Oh, youth.
Youth flag.
No.
Youth flag.
He's 18.
Wow. Wow.
I have nothing else to say,
Wow.
so I'm going to pass.
If I'm Chris Brown, you must be R. Kelly.
I'm going to pass it on
Holy
to Colin.
hell.
In Mexico, she's 18. That's what I was told. I don't know. Those are great points, though. A lot of good
Lord.
inside information. Colin,
I don't even know where to go with that.
you're up.
Yeah. Carnage, that's an appropriate name. That's what this is going to be. No. Scrappers, good effort, great practice schedule. Nobody's doing what you were doing in this offseason.
Undefeated in the
so
preseason.
far, 4-0. Give them credit for 4-0. But it's 4-1 after this week.
Interesting.
So
Tobin?
I feel the exact same way. The Scrappers, I know they've gotten angry because people have said this before in their picks. They're a product of their schedule. Not saying they're not a talented team, not saying they're not a playoff team, but Carnage is one of the few teams competing for a C title. They have veterans, Jesse Ward, Condi, Steve Ellis, Jeezy. I could throw a lot of other nicknames out there. Carnage is going to beat them, and it's not going to be that close.
I'll say it. If what I'm looking for turns out to be true.
All right, well, I'll continue until
That's them right there.
Colin realizes he's on the air.
102 differential.
Yeah.
That's a product of their schedule. They played some soft team.
Right.
They played a couple of tough, a tough team maybe, but you don't get 134 to 32 the first 4 weeks playing top-notch talent.
No, that's a good point, and this is what we always have been saying about the Albany C Division. You know, you've got 14 teams. We try to do a strength of schedule, and so in this case, they could be playing the bottom feeders. And Colin and I always bring this up, you know, product of your schedule, because everybody can get off to a fast start. This happens in the NFL, college football. You're going to see teams dropping that are 4-0 right now. Not Bama, but other teams. They would be
the
Carnage.
phrase we like to use, smoke and mirrors.
Yes, that's the phrase I was looking for that I couldn't think of because of the diabetic medicine.
And
But
that
I'm
nasty
going
diet, right?
and then I'm going to have to go with Carnage, and I'm going to make a prediction here. I think the Scrappers, they're so confident, and if they get beat up in this game, that kid that put this team together, he's going to go off on the referees. It's going to get ugly, and it's going to get crazy. But if he decides to go off on the Carnage guys, those Troy guys are going to come out with billy clubs. So I'm hoping that things settle down because, listen, it's only one loss, Scrappers. If it happens, I know we're putting you down. And we will promise you this, guys. Can we do this for the Scrappers?
Sure.
If they win this game, we have to do something for them.
We'll give them the same offer we gave the SOS guys. You beat us, you prove us wrong. We'll go on the air and we will give you the credit. We'll even invite you to come into the show. If you want to come in and gloat about it, you have the forum right now.
And I'll give the same deal I gave to the Warriors last year when my Sampsons team was playing the Warriors. The Scrappers win. Get me a jersey. I'll wear it next week on the show.
Hold up, rookie. You can't go and change stuff. You don't have that level.
We
yet.
did that last season.
You don't have that level.
So that's not the first time.
You don't have
good
that
memory though.
You're still a rookie. You don't have. You got to clear stuff with us.
Well, hey, look, you can do all of those things, maybe, and I'll tell you what, you guys win that game, I'll stop drinking for 3 days. How's
That is a huge commitment.
Huge commitment.
Especially on
I was
Wednesday.
Gonna say 4, that's pushing it. 3 days I stop drinking, and we start giving you guys more respect and more credit, all right? Look, I know you got an all-star arena guy on your team. That's going to be a huge factor. But good luck anyway, Scrappers, and hopefully it comes out that you win that one. I don't even know if I'm doing the game or not. I'll have to check my schedule.
Do you know what time that game is?
I don't.
Okay, Schenectady C Division, guys. This is SOS 4-0, maybe.
Maybe.
Dream Team 3-1. This, again, appears to be a great close game. Is it?
I don't think so, but I'll give my prediction later. I will say one factor, some insider information. I hate to say it, but there was more issues with SOS after the game and Maggie's. There was some extracurricular activities, so we have to look into those. And there might be some people who played last week who won't be playing this week.
Dun, dun, dun,
So
dun.
as always, SOS, extremely talented. You alluded to it earlier. The top 4 teams in Schenectady are almost set.
Right.
And honestly, now it's fighting for playoff position.
Literally.
One team's 4-0, 3 teams 3-1. Dream Team consistently comes out, has a good record, but we have not seen them take that step to be a contender. This is their shot. Can they do it? Can they take advantage of SOS that might be a little bit down after last week's shenanigans? I can't talk, so I'll turn it over to Colin for his pick.
Well, with everything that's going on with SOS, they're going to spend most of this week trying to figure out, A, how to get around getting suspensions, B, what we're going to do in case so-and-so is suspended. So they're not really going to be focusing too much on what's going to happen on the field. Dream Team is a quality opponent. Like you said, they always seem to hang around. I think because of all the distractions that SOS is going to be going through. Dream Team, they know SOS is the top dog. They've been the top dog the last couple of years. And like Ric Flair says, to be the man, you got to beat the man. With everything going on with SOS, I think Dream Team takes advantage of that, and they pull off the mild upset.
Wow. That's a shocker.
So I'm going to say one name, Doug McBride. We talked about possible MVP of the C Division and Steve Ellis. Doug McBride is right there. He has inserted himself into this SOS team. I couldn't even get that out with a straight face. And he has taken control.
I'm surprised you got it out.
God.
And I think that no matter what happens this week, he will get his troops to the field, regardless of who's on it and who's not, lead them to victory, and he will throw at least 4 touchdown passes.
Wow. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, Colin, that you took Dream Team in this because I don't think there's a shot in hell, H-E-double-L sticks or whatever you
Hockey
guys,
sticks.
whatever you religious guys say. I just say hell. Anyway, so I'm going to say SOS is going to win this game. I don't think this pass incident is going to kill them that much. We're looking at one player right now and a potential team kind of thing because they're on probation, but I think they're going to settle down, and I think they're going to take care of business on the field. But the problem is what are they going to do on the field from this point forward? Because if they continue to act the way they are, I don't think they're even going to get into the playoffs because of their own league sanctions that will be brought on themselves. So
I.e., C. Scott Madden.
I think this is a critical point for them because Doug McBride is there, as he told me, for a couple reasons today in an email. I think he told us that, one, he wanted to win a C title, and this was a good, talented group of guys to do with it, but he also wants to help these guys to become more mature players in the CDFFL because SOS is certainly capable of being one of those teams that has a little bit of a dynasty going for them. Sure, they could win the C and go to the Bs, but do damage in the Bs as well.
Agreed.
So with that, I take SOS to smash Colin's prediction.
Here's the problem with what you said. Let me rephrase that.
Please do.
Here's the potential problem with what you said.
Right.
When I recall all the crap that happened last year, someone put on the post that it's football, we should be able to yell and curse at the referees, and the referees should be thick-skinned enough to not take it personally and throw flags on us. Wasn't that someone from SOS who put that up there?
I believe it was, yes.
Yeah, no, they're
So-
not learning at this point.
So that just brings me right to my point. Doug wants to help these guys become more mature. Sometimes you can't help people who don't want to help themselves. Because for someone to put that up there is just asinine.
But the problem is, Colin, is you have a guy like Doug McBride. He's in his 40s probably, and he's very mature, great guy. Problem is when you're only 5'2", 110 pounds.
Yeah.
And these mother effers are running wild.
Oh, I didn't think you were going to censor that
No, I
one.
censored it. Yeah. I censored it. They're running wild.
Unlike
You
Mike
know,
Gallo, who actually said the word on the show.
It's like savages out there. They can't, you got to rein that in. And I'm not talking about a white or black thing. I mean, people got to act the way they need to act on a football field to be productive within the game. You can't consistently blame the referees or get on the opposing team or even get on your own teammates. You know, I mean, that works for a little while, but then you get too much resentment, and I think that's going to be a problem. So let's see what happens here.
Let me just give a little credit to Bill Kent. He has found so much talent that they continue to lose guys, and they continue to be the most talented team in Schenectady, even with those losses. So I give him a lot of credit. No matter if this one guy gets suspended or not, I think they're still going to put a product out there. The bigger question, like you said, is when are they going to stop? When are they going to? Not saying they were completely at fault here, not saying no one else is ever guilty of egging them on or causing situations, but at some point, you know, league sanctions could affect them, you know, as it has many teams in the past.
You have to realize it's flag football on Sundays. Everybody goes to work on Monday. This isn't a job.
Not everyone goes to
Well,
work.
that's true. The majority of people go to work on Monday. And nobody wants to take flag football this serious. It's for recreation.
Agreed.
Keep it in perspective.
And I actually like these kids. You know, I have a kind of a friendly relationship
Phil
with them.
doesn't.
Phil doesn't know, but I like them. I mean, we have this good, you know, rapport because they're one of those guys or one of those teams with a bunch of guys that, like, you know, maybe they're taking it seriously, but it's kind of fun for me because, you know, they're so amped up about this that they love to talk to me and get my opinions on the wins and the losses and who's great and who's not great. So that's the good part of it. Mm-hmm. They just need to separate that from the bad part that they're happening right now. And Rocco, one last question. I think this is fantastic what you mentioned about Bill Kent and recruiting. Mm-hmm. Who is a better recruiter? Because the top two in the entire league are you and Bill Kent.
I'm going to have to say me at this point because Bill's done it in the C's. I've done it in the C's and B's.
I didn't say recruiting white players. I said overall.
Well,
And because
That caught me off guard.
I'll go with Rocco as well because he recruits players and then he places wagers on them. So he establishes
but right now, I'm
certain
going to
things.
disagree with you, though. Right now, in my opinion, I think Brandon Phaneuf is the best recruiter in the CDL.
Yeah, I don't think
Why?
so.
Because he flexes?
No, it's too much. He's taken so much time, and I think it's great what he did. But there's too much time that he had to take to build that. You and Bill in particular, with what you just said, my God, he's getting these recruits out of nowhere and quick.
Agreed.
You know, so it reminds me a little bit about, and Colin can maybe agree or disagree with this point. There was
agree.
a point in Griswold Heights in the Troy area where talent was hitting 18 all at the same time, 18, 19 years old.
the
And
perfect
they
age.
started just they started just flooding the CDFFL with talent and doing a great job. Maybe that's happening in Schenectady where Bill Kent is recruiting.
Yep.
So there could be a positive
I
there.
concur.
Okay, folks. Hey, for Colin Martin, Rocco Tobin Leger, I'm Frank Rogers. We'll see everybody next week. Fogham. In the
Fogham.
house. Building, I'm sorry.
In the building.
All right, I got it. In the house is an old term now.